All right, let's dive in. Bryant McFadden, Ryan Wilson in with their thoughts here. Let's start with Justin Herbert. We'll get to Dallas, but I'm not sure anybody walks away a winner other than in the win-loss column for Dallas in this one. Justin Herbert did not look himself, B-Mac. There were missed open receivers, a late interception. Obviously, dealing with that broken finger on his non-throwing hand didn't look like that hampered him other than when he was going to the ground. What do you attribute the struggles to?
Well, I think we have to really tip our hats to the Cowboys. Defensively, the front, they did a great job in making Justin Herbert uncomfortable, and we don't know exactly how confident he was in his ability to really hold the football, because clearly we saw some miscues. But outside of that, I mean, people were harassing him left and right, especially in the second half. So we never got a chance to see the high talented player that he is on full display throughout this ball game. Then secondly, for me, guys, you look at the inability for the Chargers to run the football. Remember when the first ball game was the only game up until this point that we saw a healthy Austin Eckler against the Miami Dolphins. They had a field day running the football. They had balance. Tonight, having Austin Eckler back in the lineup, we all thought he would jumpstart the rushing attack for the Chargers, but because of how well the Cowboys defensively they played against the run, they became one-dimensional. So if you're going to be one-dimensional against the outstanding pass rushers that the Cowboys have, good luck in believing that you're going to be successful for 4 quarters and just only throwing the football. So I think it was a great scheme by Dan Quinn and his guys. They executed it from start to finish.
We're taking a look here at the numbers here, team comparison. I want to bring up some numbers as well. 20 total penalties for 164 yards. That's why I point out off the top some of the efficiencies on both sides. Ryan Wilson, your thoughts tonight on Justin Herbert, where he maybe left plenty to be desired?
Yeah, while B-Mac was talking, you guys kept showing the replay of Keenan Allen roasting Deron Bland twice on those stutter goes, and both times Justin Herbert airmailed Keenan Allen, and what could have been game-changing plays, at least in those moments, possibility for 7, maybe even more if he connected on both those throws. So that's part of the concern, the lack of accuracy. I don't know if that has anything to do with his left hand, the finger in his left hand being broken, but as B-Mac pointed out, the ability for Dallas to pressure Justin Herbert, and look, they didn't get a sack until that very last drive, the next to last play before the interception there that we just saw, but they were in Justin Herbert's face repeatedly. And Joe, you touched on the other issue. When your offensive line has 6 penalties, and by the way, if those penalties hadn't been called or perpetrated by the offensive line, Josh Palmer might go for 200 yards. Every time he made a play, there was holding on someone on the Chargers offensive line. So that can also bring back your offense. That can also frustrate your quarterback, who's already struggling with accuracy issues. And I think when you compound that with the way that they played and the way that Dak Prescott played, especially compared to last week, that gets you this final score, and it's a huge win for the Cowboys. Incredibly upsetting loss for the Chargers coming up their bye week.
Well, let's talk about Dak next, because if you're going to scream my criticism, sing my praises as well. Touchdown on the ground, touchdown through the air, 21 of 30, 272, did what was asked of him. Yes, there were moments in the game where the offense could have operated more efficiently, but what did you make of Dak's night here? Monday Night Football, a place we know he's comfortable.
I love seeing Dak become a +1 in the running game. That's something that we haven't really seen enough from him. And in tonight's matchup, he did so. I mean, he had 7 carries for 40 yards, a rushing touchdown, and just his ability to buy time. That's something that he has. He's an athletic quarterback, but oftentimes he loves to commit to the pocket. It's okay in break containment of the pocket and being able to look for guys open down the football field. So that was a big-time element in their ball game for their offense as well. He actually led them in rushing. And then, of course, targeting CeeDee Lamb. 7 targets, 7 receptions, 117 yards.
That's CeeDee.
That's CeeDee. CeeDee is a wide receiver 1. I understand people have been overly critical of CeeDee Lamb, but he is a wide receiver 1. He has the skill sets. He has the ability. It's just the lack of opportunities. That has been the one thing that has hindered CeeDee Lamb up until this point. So when you target number 88, especially the way they moved him around, moving him around from the slot to the 3 guy, just everywhere on the football field, he's a guy that can create separation, and Dak did a great job in finding him and completing passes.
B-Mac, when you look at last week's game against the 49ers, the 49ers basically said on defense, we're going to play man-to-man and try to beat us, and no one could get open. CeeDee was incredibly frustrated. This week, you talked about CeeDee's presence. How about my man Brandon Cooks throwing it back 5 or 6 or 7 years? He had a ball game, caught that touchdown pass in the end zone. And oh, by the way, Tony Pollard got involved as well. Didn't do it in the rush game. That was Dak's arena this evening. But he had that 60-yard catch that set them up in the red zone. So all those things finally came together. I gave Mike McCarthy a hard time in the pregame because he said part of the reason he moved on from Kellen Moore is because he wanted to run the ball more to control the clock. Well, he ran the ball more. He controlled the clock, and he had it. The team exactly where they needed to be to kick the game-winning field goal, and this game plan came together just as he had planned it to. And to your point, you get CD involved. Dak doesn't make mistakes. He runs the ball when he needs to. You play great defense. This is how you compete in the NFC and plan for that deep playoff run.
Yeah, exactly where they needed to be in this football game. I'm not sure they're exactly where they need to be as a football team quite yet, and that's maybe a question posed of both of these teams. The expectation out in front of them, not yet meeting or exceeding that expectation. I want to apply that here to LA because it's a team specifically in offense that we have very high expectations of, B-Mac. They fall short of that in this instance. Where do they have to be better? Where do they have to get things cleaned up if they want to be a playoff team, a team that takes a step forward from last year and not a step back?
Well, I think we need to see more consistency from Justin Herbert. I think up until tonight's matchup, guys, he's been playing pretty good football. He has been playing pretty good football, but we did not see his best effort tonight. And you talked about the mistiming, the accuracy issues, Ryan. Yes, there were 3 opportunities for them to cash in big time, but for whatever reason, we didn't really see the accuracy from Justin Herbert that we know he has. And then secondly, just finding a way to run the football. I don't think Austin Eckler is 100%. Clearly, I don't even think he's 85%. And you can tell watching him tonight, he lacked the ability to be explosive, the quickness and the one-step runner that he is. We didn't see that. But they have to find a way to establish the ground and pound attack because even when he was out of the lineup, they couldn't run the football. So they became one-dimensional, became too predictable, and good luck in trying to find success in doing so. But I can tell you this much. Justin Herbert is too good of a quarterback to lose these type ball games.
We sit there and we watch these games together. We fawn over the arm talent. It's hard not to. The guy can get to throws from platforms that most humans cannot. Ryan Wilson, I only offer that to ask you, is that arm talent in a way putting him in positions he doesn't need to be? Is there too much trust in that ability and not enough reliance on the timing we talk about?
I think Justin does a pretty good job of getting the ball out on time typically. I give the Cowboys and Dan Quinn credit. I thought they got into the receiver spaces, made it a little more difficult outside of Keenan Allen. The penalty certainly didn't help the Chargers. We'll find out if this injury is a lingering thing. And, you know, we talked about it pregame. I think you have to give Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator, credit as well. This team has scored 24 points or more every single week. The issue, and B-Mac sort of alluded to it, is that they play so many tight ball games. Every single ball game this season has been a one-score game. Sometimes they should be blowing the doors off teams, and other times perhaps it should be close. But just look back to last week, when the 49ers did exactly that. They blew the doors off the Cowboys. That's what good football teams do. And when you're the Chargers and you let teams hang around whether they're better than you or not, this is what happens. You win some and you lose some, and you lose some in some pretty demoralizing fashion. And even though Justin Herbert wasn't at his best, the defense did a pretty good job against Dak Prescott. The special teams showed up. They got that punt return, that punt recovery down in the red zone that allowed them to score that touchdown. And it's all for naught because in the critical moments, it just feels like this team finds ways to charge it up, and they've charged it up once again.
Here's one for the Chargers. 53 rushing yards on this night.
Yeah,
a week ago, $170 for San Francisco. Got to get it going on the ground against this defense. They could not. And to your point, Mac, they become one-dimensional. We appreciate the insight. As always, Ryan Wilson, Bryant McFadden, thank you. There's always more B-Mac to be had. B-Mac and P2 sitting down with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment on all things covered. Can't miss conversations each and every week. Download, subscribe, and enjoy All Things Covered.